see if we are live. Welcome to Movie Crap Live. Your, I don't know, at least one of your favorite movie live stream, movie news, animation news, whatever. Okay, it sounds like we are. Okay. Thank you for the reminder of cornbread. It's all ready to go. Everyone's saying Elio on this one. Anyway, Jim is. Thank you, Sinram. Oh, I gotta make sure to like the video, everyone. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the show. Bloxy Oxenwinkle, Cornbread, Sinram. Also, Cornbread, Rams the Artist, Purple Goop, Cornbread, Austin, Zodberg. Zodberg apparently is also here. And other people. Other Javier Portello I saw earlier. Everyone is here. Nathaniel Foga, how is it going tonight? We are here live. Whoa, that was quick. Oh, thank you, Sidram. That's very nice of you. All right, hold on. Let me switch over. I think you could tell us in the kitchen. And let's do the super chat first. This is a Bloxy got in hot. And this was guessed by I think Cornbread was first, but I think Ramsey the Artist also guessed on Blue Sky, so I'm saying it's more, I'd say Cornbread and Ramsey are sort of a tie. But anyway, this is a Ghost. It's the America Pop. I got it because it was on sale at a store I went to. That's pretty much why. Anyway, does Hank Hill like Paul Blart mock-up? I think he would. It's nice PG. I think he would have a nice beer and relax and maybe fall asleep and wake up and be like, oh yeah, it's Die Hard, you know? I mean, that is what it is. That's not a new revelation, I don't think. Anyway, cheers to you, Black Sox. Tastes okay. Alright, they are called Rocket Pops. You're right, Austin. Hello, Taco Master. But they called it America. I mean, it is sort of or they say America Pop. They took out the A. So, you know, I almost went for the rock one. And there is a dinosaur one I didn't do. But is the 50th anniversary of Jaws tomorrow? Or will happen probably during the show. So that's why I wore the shirt. And the shark is over here, his jaw disappeared a long time ago, but the shark is right there. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. Where is my script there? Okay, what's been... I hope y'all have been having a good week, and happy Juneteenth. Oh, hello, William Elman. How's it going? I hope you're having a happy Juneteenth. You celebrated. Oh, I saw Dan was here. Sorry, I missed Dan. How's it going, Dan? Oh, okay. You did a DreamWorks marathon. Awesome, man. Let's see. What happened? What's been happening? Oh, Father's Day. I had a very nice Father's Day. I got to watch. I've been wanting to watch. MeTV Tunes has a show called House of Hanna-Barbera, and I've wanted to watch it, but it's on in like the middle of the day. And like I haven't had a sick day since it's been created, or I haven't been sick since it's been started. And I was like, I think there was a day I was watching the kids, and I was like, well, that's what we're doing, because I really want to watch this. But I got to watch. It was on, thankfully, on a Sunday, and I watched it. It's pretty good. I saw Wally Gator and I think it's Peter Potamus. Those are the best ones. But then it's like all the obscure Hanna-Barbera characters. So if you like Jellystone, watch House of Hanna-Barbera. If you're like, I don't have a DVR. It's through antenna, so that's why. You can't get a DVR for an antenna, believe it or not, or like a weird setup that's really expensive. It was good, but it's a lot of obscure characters. I know Andy Merrill posted like how you would fix it, make it a better show, and I agree with what but it is like you have to really like Hanna-Barbera to even enjoy it. But I fell asleep. It was long, and Oscar and I enjoyed watching it. Although he likes, as he calls him, Scooby Dooby. But it was good, and I watched Into the Spider-Verse because I love those. I think that's my favorite superhero, one of my favorite superhero movies, and I think Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie. yeah, I think I'd be like Into the Spider-Verse. It'd be Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2. I might go across the Spider-Verse and then Raimi. I don't know. After 1 and 2, but I know it's like Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2. I'm confident about those. But anyway. Um, and then I got to watch Taking It Pelham 1, 2, 3, which is a remarkably solid film. I've had the Blu-ray forever, and I finally really got to sit down with it. And that, I don't know, I need to do a review of it, but it is like, I was like, I almost can't really think of much to credit because it's just like so perfect and so tight. The script and everything, it's just really, really a well done fucking movie. Like Jesus, like I don't know. I was like, it's so efficient. It was like kind of surprising. I guess I hadn't watched it in a few years, and I was like, damn, like, damn. I don't know. So I was really surprised by that. But it was what else? Oh, over the weekend I put my flyers in 2 different bookstores and at a bulletin board where you had to ask the management, and I actually did. Most of the time I just put it up there and hope for the best. I was like, you know what? Here you go. I don't know. I haven't checked. I will eventually. But yeah, I put in, I don't know, feeling good. It seems like I got some people interested, and that's exciting. I don't know. I need to mix up the flyer game because put them on the subway, but then those subway kind of cars are going to be going away in the next year, so I need to kind of come up with something else. So, but it seems to be sort of working out, so that's kind of cool. So if you're here from a flyer, sorry about that. I did not. Anyway, but that was cool, and I got a hoodie from a rummage sale. That was like you give them. I think we got $10 for a box of stuff, and I feel really good about that. And I just wanted to say I got that, and I feel good about that. I don't see the problem with that. I felt stupid putting in there, but I was like, I'm really happy about this hoodie, and it was a good hoodie. I don't know why they threw it out. There's a lot of Drake shirts, and that was funny because I was like, why? I was like, this is the ultimate diss that nobody, and they were like newer. I was just like, oh shit. There's nothing. It's just a red hoodie with a zip, and it's too hot in here. Oh yeah, can you guys hear? There's a little fan. I have watched it. I've watched it before I wore it. I have a little fan here. Can you hear it? It's like a stroller fan. Because it gets hot in here. That's the. Okay, maybe let me know if you can hear that. I don't know. I'm just going to cool myself down a little. It's going to run out of battery. Probably shouldn't overdo it too early. And other things, I'm trying to think if I saw, been watching Andor. Fish police shirt, nice. Been watching Andor with my wife, and I really like that, but season 2 is not as good so far. Like him fighting the two rebels fighting over the TIE fighter thing was like, I don't know, man. Not as interesting as the first season, but And I'm trying to think other stuff. Sorry, this a lot of notes on. Oh, I will say I've been watching Seth Meyers, or I have it on when I'm finishing up my videos. They always come out super late, and that is a really good show. It gets better. Okay, all right. The first episodes are worst of the show. Oh fuck. Okay, that sucks. But yeah, it's been really good. I saw one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was really good. I kind of didn't really watch last night's, but it's like a remarkably solid show. I really gotta say about the Seth Meyers, only good talk show on right now. Like reminds me, I used to watch like all like Letterman and Conan a lot in the 90s, and I really haven't seen the level and Letterman wasn't as good as he was in the 80s or something, but like Seth Meyers is like a solid fucking show. Like the other ones I'm like, oh, they're gonna do like a competition or they're gonna do this, and he's like, it's very much not the vibe of the other ones. It's very chill, and yeah, Seth Meyers does a great job. I would check it out. I don't know. It's like on 12:30, so you can watch it right after this. Once you're done, you can go check that out. I don't think I have anything else too much. The videos this week have been the How to Train Your Dragon compilation. If you ever want to see my evolution of making videos in the 2010s. It's probably I've always thought the trilogy of How to Train Your Dragons was a good evolution because it goes from the first kind. I think it was the first one to ever use music and all the pictures and all that shit, like that era, and then the one where I had like two cameras. I used to do that. If I had more time, I would bring back the second camera. And then the last one is like me with clips and stuff with one camera. I think it's a nice evolution. So if you ever wanted to watch, oh hey Medela Butterfly, I've not seen The Blackening, but that is an appropriate movie for today. Anyway, I was like, when I was putting it together, I was like, this is kind of the evolution of the whole thing. So I thought that was a good one, and other ones like the regular show one was the only random thing. I was just tired, and I thought I'm not gonna finish what I wanted to finish, and that I was trying to do the Sabrina Carpenter thing, and I was like, what if I just fuck around and make this real quick? And I kind of got into it. So that was the impulse decision, but I thought it worked. I was like, it was pretty good for a random idea on a Tuesday night. That was too late. The Lilo and Stitch thing. We'll talk a little bit more about the live action remakes. I've noticed there are people who really will defend those a lot. That's weird. Anyway, and then the Batman Forever casting, and I shot that a while ago when Val Kilmer died because I rewatched it because he died. I came up with that. I don't know, messing around this week. But yeah, what was the? Hold on. Thank you, Jordan Lawful. I thought it was. Hold on. I need to have it written down, and now I can't remember anything. Was it Bounden? Brown? No, it's a Burrow. Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm live right now. Cool. I should check that out. Burrow is going to be the throwback tomorrow because one of the directors worked on Elio, and I think the next one after that is Judge Dredd, but that's probably next week. The 95 Judge Dredd. I'm not sure when I'm seeing it. I wanted to see it with the family. I haven't figured that out yet. Sorry, I don't think any of this was that exciting. So I don't have much else, just working on stuff. And the only other thing, I think I've hyped up that there would be a Patreon video. I'm looking at July, and July looks like a real motherfucker in terms of, we have pretty huge movies coming out that month. So I think it's probably a bad idea to do that month, just because I want to do stuff for each one of the, the Jurassic Park, the Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four. So it's probably going to get delayed, but there might be, I'm going to try to finally make a link tree, which I keep putting off, and then do a, Ko-fi thing. Yeah, Ko-fi. So you can, if you can't do a super chat, or like at the time the show's going on, or you want to do that, that's an option for people. But I'll do the Patreon probably in August or something. It's shot. It's gonna happen. But if you see that happening, that's the deal. Just keep this train moving, I guess. So anyway, I don't think I have anything else. Sorry, that was like a big info dump of. So I saw March of the Penguins finally, and that was good. That's about it. I bet you they hosted a kids. Well, you guys don't have Juneteenth in Canada, so I don't know why they'd. I don't know. It's hard to get the birthday parties in because once the summer hits, you can't really do birthday parties because kids are all away. So that's probably it. I don't know. Birthday party in the theater. Anyway, all right. Yeah, July is crazy. When I really looked, I was like, how the fuck did this happen? I was like, this is wild. They're like the three biggest movies of the year almost. Like, I don't know, like three of the bigger movies of the year. Like, it's like those three, and that's like Wicked 2 and Avatar. But it's like, I would say if you're going to make the biggest movies of this year, you would put those three on there. Of the like top, yeah, it's like crazy. Anyway, all right. So this and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through my Patreon, which is linked below, and you get all sorts of cool stuff like my commentary series. There was a new one that just came out on Sunday. Postcards, which are going to go out, I think next week, or maybe this weekend or something. Hopefully, gotta get my shit together. As well as it helps me be able to keep doing all sorts of cool stuff. If you give a super chat during the show, I will drink this America Pop, and which gives me energy to keep going. So if you don't want me to fall asleep, please do that. And if we get past $20 in super chats, every $20 multiple, I will do the fade that like that. It'll do, yeah. If we do that, where was I? I was gonna do. I almost had the America one, and then I felt uncomfortable at that. Which one do I? Birthday present? What's birthday? Well, no, wait, that's the American one. Okay, Halloween. But anyway, if that's how we do, and I'll have the flashing lights for a little bit. But yes, it helps me to be able to do this if you're financially able to do so. But I very much appreciate if you are going to do a super chat or pledge to the Patreon. It helps me continue to do that, continually to publicize the channel, continue to do things for the channel. Very much helps me to do so, and thank you very much if you're financially able to. If not, just liking this video, subscribing, and watching is really nice of you, and thank you very much for doing so. I don't have a bit for the guy in the library this time. As well as my Discord server, which is frankly fucking awesome. They do an amazing job. They have everything from movie discussion, animation discussion in general, where we do a daily question. Oh, hello, Daniel Vasquez. Let me get done this, and I will I will acknowledge this. All sorts of licensed playing card channel. I have the Star Wars cards, which are really cool. They've got a lot of cool different poses. This is one of my favorite decks of cards here. They do a movie watch. I'm not sure what they're doing this week, but they do awesome thumbs. Cornbread has his thumbnail prediction, which I haven't seen yet. We'll go check out. It's a really wonderful community. It's probably the best community on the internet. Oh, they're doing Paranormal. Appropriate, since it's coming back to theaters soon. But anyway, you should really check that out if you would like to. If you like this amazing chat next to me, which you hear me refer to all the time, it sounds cool, but you can go hang out in that community as well. It's there. The daily question's there for a whole day. So if you're like, I only have time for 2 hours at 3 a.m., guess what, baby? You can answer that question and be part of the community. It's super chill and super wonderful. And Ryan Walterson, Cornbread, Zane Powers, and Austin do an amazing job of running it. And there's the Ask Jim channel. If you want to ask me a question or make a suggestion, it's a wonderful place to do it. Or you can do it in the comments below. We good? Okay. Daniel Vasquez says, since both 28 Days Later and Megan 2.0 have Teletubby references, I didn't know that. What was your experience with the Teletubbies in the late 90s, early 2000s? First off, cheers to you, Daniel Vasquez. I'll say this. Gross. Why are you... Oh, this thing... Ew. That's true, Cornbread. You can answer it. You could answer it later. Just make sure you reply so we understand the context. That would be my only thing. No, I will answer this question. I was older. I was a teen, but it was like cool to have it on after the. I don't know if you guys know about this, so I'm not gonna assume you do. That Jerry Falwell got mad at. I think it was Jerry Falwell got mad at the Teletubbies because the purple one's gay or something. I don't know what it was, like, whatever. And then if I'd say like anything about the purple Teletubbies, people get fucking weird. It's like, I don't know. It was like people were like, I'm not homophobic, but don't even reference the purple Teletubby. I'm like, okay, I think whatever. But I would watch it with friends and stuff. Not always sober, I'll admit that, but it was it was more popular with the older kids than people realized, because it was like trippy and weird, and it was like cool. It was the cool yes, Tinky Winky, yes. It was the cool kid. It was sort of, I think, the only cool kid show I've seen since then. That, like, it's different between a cool kid show I watch, like, with my kids, but, like, if you're an adult who watches that, I'd say Teletubbies, and I didn't see it again until Yo Gabba Gabba, and I have not seen it since Yo Gabba Gabba, in terms of, because I watch that show as an adult. Yo Gabba Gabba fucking rules. But I think it's pretty much like Teletubbies, Yo Gabba Gabba. There wasn't really much in between in terms of the older people. I know kids watched all sorts of stuff. I didn't know many kids who watched Teletubbies because we were all past the age. But we'd keep it on. It was cool. So anyway, yeah, Tinky Winky wasn't. It was like a huge thing. There was also then when like pop culture references. Like now, there's so much pop culture and it's so digested. And there's so many people commenting on it. But back then, like something like Tinky Winky being gay would be a joke for like a year. It was so different media wise. So it was like by the time the Simpsons referenced it, it was like truly very dead at that point. But it was a good Cornbread. You're right. It's a really good zone out vibe show. Exactly. You don't have to be inebriated. You could just. There were plenty of times I watched it and just chilled out with it, and that is exactly like because when you came to someone's house back then, you would just turn on the TV. And like if MTV was just playing like Daria reruns, and they would really rerun stuff into the fucking ground. Like if you hear '90s kids talk about how like they like watching Daria, but they got sick of it, it's because it was like I've seen this episode 400 times. I mean, and also you could put on Teletubbies and mute it and have cool music going on, and that was always fun. Like putting it on and like corns on and stuff. Yeah, I was cool to just be. Anyway, all right. Let's move on. Thank you for that, Daniel West. That was good. I didn't expect to talk about Teletubbies tonight. All right. If you didn't know, tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of Jaws. That is where I'm wearing the shirt, which I acknowledge. I just want to bring this up at the top of the show. I know Matt Singer at Screen Crush wrote a 50 things that are cool about Jaws, and then I think People Magazine ran a similar thing, but Matt Singer's was first. I know the New York Times wrote a piece that everyone really likes. I would actually love to do a Jaws review, and I would like to do it this year, not in July, as I explained. But if you've never seen Jaws, it's an amazing movie. But as I think we should preface this with, anytime there is a big classic movie and you hear a bunch of dudes be like, you have to see The Godfather, you have to see this, just be like, just go, oh hey, it's a good movie. Like Jaws is a really good movie. It's very influential. It's sort of the modern blockbuster, all that stuff. But if you're like, hey, I just want to watch a good movie tonight, you can put on Jaws. It's a good movie. You can put on The Godfather. It's a good movie. Just like when people go, ugh, it's like, well, it is actually really good. Like you should see it once in your life. Like, so if you've never seen Jaws, just do yourself a favor. Check that movie out. It's wonderful. I've seen it in 3D. I've seen it in theaters twice. I have the Monomix DVD. I have a Blu-ray of it. If I find a VHS somewhere, I will probably get it. I don't know. If I make a video, I'll talk about this more. But the first time I watched it as like, this huge, influential, big movie. And then every other time, and then as I start reviewing movies, it's so influential. You start thinking about it more. And I started liking it more and watching it every year. And every year I watch it and every year I like it. And it's just, I don't know. It is my favorite Spielberg. I know based on my age I'm supposed to say Jurassic Park, but it is seriously my favorite. Just a wonderful movie. And everyone's like, oh, Hitchcock. To me, other than that one shot, it's Cat People. Because that's like directly, the not showing stuff. So if you've never seen Cat People, check out Cat People. But it's the original Cat People. But to me, like, Jaws is very influenced by Cat People. That's what I think there's some Spielberg in there, but I think, are there some Hitchcock in there? but yeah, Jaws is cool. And the 30-Second Bunnies, I've been meaning to make a video about them for forever, but their Jaws thing is pretty cool. The Jaws parody. I've always loved that. All right. So, the King of the Hill teasers. We got two of them, sort of. One on Father's Day, which I didn't even notice. I noticed every dad I saw who likes King of the Hill didn't know it came out because we're all like chilling. So I don't think it worked for the dads, but I'm glad they put it. I thought that was a cute teaser of Hank and Bobby, and they talk about beer and how beer tells a story and stuff like that. You are right, William Owen and Jock Turner horror films are tight. I like upcoming Criterion. They're cool. I did watch the Johnny videos. I did. More so of the second one. But the beer thing, I am more of a, even though I think I talked about this on Blue Sky, but I am more of a, I like a beer that's cold and does what it's supposed to do, and I'm less of a, I do get the expensive beers because of KCBC, but I know Earl, who did the logo of this, does the labels. So if you ever see KCBC in here, that's we were texting about Spider-Man cartoons. We text about dorky shit, and he'll show me the labels and all that stuff. I think he's an amazing artist. But I really just get those because I like his art. So I am sometimes a beer tells a story person, but most of the time I'm Hank Hill. But it was, I like, it kind of sets up like he's a big chef and he's really into this food stuff. And I thought it was a good setup for Bobby and Hank. Then we got a teaser later, them at the George W. Bush Museum, showing that baseball. I remember that baseball, an embarrassing thing, because I think he threw out a baseball and it like didn't make it. And it was ha. And I was actually like with my father-in-law, and I thought there's like a 30 for 30 on him throwing out the keep the energy drink in front. Okay. Serve him. No. What was I gonna say? Sorry. Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be a documentary on him messing up the pitch, and it wasn't. It was just like him nailing it. I was like, this sucks. Anyway, and then Peggy saying that I would want to kill myself with the letter opener. I thought that scene just felt very King of the Hill to me. And Peggy's, I heard Johnny say this and other people, like Peggy's end line was really harsh, and they were surprised by it. I was like, Peggy's always been very harsh and crazy. So it's like, to me, that was pretty normal. It didn't really shock me any, but that to me just felt like King of the Hill. It felt very like I watched the scene from King of the Hill. It felt very at home. I don't know why more people aren't going like, but the Beavis and Butthead reboot was really good and really nailed what a Beavis and Butthead reboot should be. So I think to me, like I think it looks pretty good right now. You know, I know people are talking about the animation rigs and stuff, and I'm like, I mean, to me, like, King of the Hill is not a very visually expressive show. It's always been pretty minimal, and like the movements aren't that crazy. I'm not trying to insult it, but it's just like, I recognize that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really get sometimes when people go all in on the animation stuff, because I don't really understand what the point is on bringing that up. I'm not trying to shit on anyone specifically, but I notice people are saying that. Yeah, I don't know. It was fun. I like the clips I've seen. I'm excited to see it. To me, it feels like right now I'm excited for it. So I think they did a good job presently. But we'll see. You know, it depends on when I actually see it. We'll see how I will actually feel. In other, I guess Fox, but Disney owns it now. News, The Simpsons are actually cutting back on their season order, which I was surprised by. And you could say even more than you think, because they're only doing 17 this year, and actually only 15 will premiere, they say, in America on Fox, and then the other 2 will be exclusive for Disney Plus. I'm okay with this. I think there's like way too many Simpsons episodes anyway. I do think like Disney Plus doesn't really like promote The Simpsons very well on the service. Like I've often thought, like, why isn't there a tile just for Simpsons? Like, National Geographic is cool, but like, why isn't there an extra tile? I think that's a big enough of a brand. I've always been confused about how they push The Simpsons, but I hope they do more with this exclusive thing. Supposedly they have like a 4-year contract, and this is probably what it's going to be from now on. We'll see. I hope we get better episodes, since they could focus on them. That's usually what happens to a legacy show. You get a good solid season because they can work on it all the time. But I don't know. We'll see what the deal is with that. I'm curious, but I don't know. We watched just older Simpsons. We actually watched the one with the substitute teacher. So it's like, well, my daughter's like the age where that would be a cool episode. So, it's still really good. It's a really solid episode. Dustin Hoffman kills it. I mean, just like one of the all-time guest voice performances, if you ask me. But I don't know. I think this is probably a good thing. I'm not a Simpsons hater. I think we need to dial it back a bit and not give it Emmy nominations, so other animators and animation shows can have that, since The Simpsons has literally, I think, more than any primetime animated show ever. So like maybe that's my only real issue. It's like at a certain point you've had enough. It's like like for real. But I think I hope it works out for the quality. I think that could really work out. So we'll see. And I'm curious what these two exclusives are going to be. Are we doing holiday specials like we did with Family Guy, or are we doing something else? That would be what I'm really curious if this is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen with the show in the next 4 years, and like what if one of the Simpsons voice cast dies? Are we going to do it? But your Medela bar said it'll take longer to get to episode 1,000. Man, reading this article and saying like they're gonna go into season 40, I was like, fucking hell. I watched that show in season 1. Jesus. I think they're wait, is it season 4? Because I'm not that I wasn't. Or is it get to season 40? Because that doesn't make sense based on my age and eventually approaches its 40th season. Okay, I read that wrong. Apologies. I don't know if anyone wants to tell me which seasons it's in. I don't know. I was like 6 or 7 when it started, and it's still going. I'm getting old. Okay, we're gonna talk about some Pixar stuff. Mainly hitting on the thumbnails hard early on. Toy Story 5. So the Toy Story 5 stuff. I don't think George Love. The Daria cameo. What I've always been told, and I don't know if he's ever said it, is that Mike Judge wasn't super high on the whole Daria thing, and I think he was like moving to the King of the Hill anyway, and kind of just let it go. But it was sort of like MTV's thing, not his thing. But I don't know. But yeah, so Toy Story 5, we learned, and I think we've known this, that there's going to be an iPad, Lily Pad, who is taking up all the kids' time, and the kids obsessed with the iPad and not as into the toys, or Bonnie, basically Bonnie. I don't think this warrants another movie. I'm basing this on what I know, which isn't much. So if there's a trailer, obviously, like, I'm just basing this on the information I have. I'm not being like a hater, but I'm not super into the idea that this is the plot. And they keep showing like Buzz and Jesse. I've heard all sorts of crazy theories, like how does Woody get involved? I kind of like don't really want Woody to be involved, but I don't know. I'm also like, most parents have screen time things and like take the iPads away. So like the idea that like the images of her like doing it under the blanket and stuff, and like what the emphasis on there, it kind of sounds like I don't know what my cats are doing out there. It kind of just doesn't seem like a really good plot to me. It just sounds kind of stupid. I understand this franchise is so popular, you want to do it, but I'm even someone who sort of defends Toy Story 4 because I sort of like the idea of, a boomer basically being showed like, hey, you got to do something else with your life now. I thought it was actually kind of a healthy kind of plot line for a franchise to be like, eventually you got to stop and do something else if you're still alive, and like move on. And I thought that was actually healthy. Like, we don't see that a lot. But then this, I'm like, I as someone who has kids who play video games and all that stuff, like, we have a lot of restrictions on it. We keep out, and I know there are parents who don't, but I think most parents do, and it's pretty close to that. But Screenslaver again, God, don't know. Oh no, God, thinking about Incredibles 3 and the 2 shorts I'm doing tonight, Bow was before Incredibles 2. And I was like, man, Incredibles 2, like that Slayer thing was not good. Yeesh. Like, oh God. Because they're always like going on about like, oh, people look at their screens too much and stuff. But like, you can find ways to do it, especially for kids. It's like educational and can help them and stuff like that. Or like, I will show them like skits on Instagram or like info things about history and stuff, but like I just don't I don't know. I'm not into this. Cocomelon, I hope not, but Cocomelon, Jesus. There's an unstoppable force there. But I'm just not into this. I'm not into it so far. So we'll see. I'm reserving judgment for an actual footage or trailer, which I assume, because it doesn't come out next summer, we're gonna get a trailer probably, I'd assume, around with Zootopia 2. I'd I'd say that's a good. I don't think we're gonna get one before. We might get a teaser before Fantastic Four. I also think the Avatar 3 trailer will be before Fantastic Four. That's my own. Since there's been talk of that, like when's that coming out? And I love the after the second Avatar made $1 billion, there's still people being like, "Oh, there's not a trailer, so I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is the Avatar that bombs." I'm like, why don't we just stop? Or who's that guy who made that TikTok? They said Avatar would make more money than is humanly possible to make at the box office in one weekend, and they didn't. It's a disaster, and it didn't become a disaster. It was what's it, second highest grossing or something? Anyway, people are so weird about the Avatar movies. The one Pixar thing I would talk about is their film Gato, which is the new film from. Did I not write down? Anyway, it's the new film from the director of Luca. I actually really. What was oh, I know where that's from. Sorry. I this one sounds cool because it combines animation styles. I do think one thing about Pixar that's getting really stale is their character designs. And at this point in Disney animation, we're starting from Snow White, they messed around with design more than Pixar has. Pixar is very set in their ways, and I understand that's the brand or whatever, but the originals can be something different, and I feel like this is a step in the right direction. I think the director of Luca is actually really good. We're developing new directors and stuff like that, which I don't think they've really been doing as much as they should. But he's a great director. I think Luca and Turning Red, that little period of Pixar where none of them got to be in theaters really, unfortunately, because it was sort of dangerous, and it was dangerous. I'm glad they're expanding that, and I hope, I don't know, I hope it's good. It sounds really promising. It's the only upcoming Pixar thing that, I like seeing Pixar. I get very excited. Trust me, before WALL-E was coming out that whole year, I would not shut up about it. I was so hyped. There really hasn't been a Pixar movie like that for me in a while. Maybe Incredibles 2 kind of killed that. That was a huge come down. And then I called Nolan, and he was like, "I told you, Jim. I told you. You're right, Nolan." Yeah, I don't know. This one I'm really excited. This one I'm pumped. I'm excited to see a teaser and all that stuff. But I think that's all the Pixar. What is this? Okay. So there has been there's some Kevin Smith news. Dogma has been playing in theaters, and there's some talk of Dogma 2, which I think is interesting. That he's actually talking about it. Now, I think he talks about Dogma, him talking about a sequel, Kevin Smith, is a little silly, because he talks about a lot of sequels, and I don't see Mallrats 2 coming out anytime soon. So we'll see if Dogma 2 actually happens, but I know the people who own the rights are very... Hold on. Someone is calling me. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Oh, I don't know. Well, call back person. Are you there? Okay, whoever that was, call me back. Anyway, so Dogma 2, the one thing he's talked about is he wants to have a... Okay, hold on. Hello?
Miss Gisriel, it's Ted Levine calling. How are you this evening?
Sorry, who?
Ted Levine.
Ted, do I owe you money or something?
No, nothing like that. I've been watching watching your show for a while now.
Oh, thank you. Are you is that name mean something?
Well, you might have heard of me. I'm an actor.
Oh,
And
cool. Do you like stuff
a
on
few weeks
Tubi?
back, Mr. Cruz called in, and I got your number from him. So I hope you don't mind him calling you during your show.
Oh, that's fine. You're Ted Levine, you said?
Levine.
Levine. Oh, okay. I know. You're the guy. You're Buffalo Bill. From
Among other things, yeah.
among other things. Let me bring up the Wikipedia.
I have this little issue that I wanted to just bring up. I hope you don't mind my interrupting.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm curious. This is very.
It's been bothering me. About the streaming services. They're very convenient, and
Yeah.
some of them have the ad breaks. They've got the different tiers. You can watch with no commercials. You can watch with some. Pay a little less, and I
Yeah.
can't say that I mind that exactly, but I think that the streaming services need to be a little bit more careful about exactly where they put the ad breaks during some films.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Yes. No, I'm saying okay. What is the example, sir?
Well, recently, The Master, the Paul Thomas Anderson film, has been on Peacock, and
Yeah.
There's ad breaks on that one. But there's one ad break that is particularly egregious. It comes right in the middle of the scene where Phil Hoffman is doing his processing of Joaquin Phoenix's character, and there's a moment there where he tells him to stop talking, close his eyes, and go back into his memory. And you see the memory visually, but the scene is still the same thing. The dialogue continues on. And they decided to put an ad break right there, which completely breaks the mood. It really pissed me off when I saw it.
What if the ad break is part of his consciousness? What if that is
I hadn't considered that, but I did see the movie in the theaters, and there was no ad break there, so I kind of assumed that.
See, you didn't see the.
Supposed to be part of the film.
I don't think you saw the director's cut with the ads in it.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, the funny part is that I decided to go look at the same film on Amazon Prime. And although Amazon Prime has only one ad break, just one, during the entire movie, it's in the exact same spot. That's
actually interesting.
I just feel like is something to be brought, something that really ought to be brought to greater attention.
That's true.
I want to be paying attention to where these ad breaks go.
So I brought up your Wikipedia, and I've noticed, you have a lot of movies on here. I don't actually see any with Mr. Tom Cruise, so I'm wondering where you guys met. But unless I'm missing where that is.
I think it was at the Golden Globes,
Oh, okay. All right.
I've been to a lot of those, and I haven't been to as many as him, but, you know how friendly he is. He loves to introduce himself, and
that makes sense.
How much he admires
your work,
so, no matter who you are.
So in 2001, you were you were in 4 movies: Evolution, The Fast and the Furious, Joyride, and Ali. That's pretty good run there.
Yeah, I've had a really good career, no complaints there. I don't always get to work with the lead, whoever that happens to be, the most popular.
Oh, you were
person,
Sinestro.
The most famous person in the cast, but I've had really good experiences. I've worked with great people. I got to be in a Scorsese film, which was just a career highlight.
I think you were in a couple. You were Sinestro.
It's been a great run for me.
Yeah. Okay. Only Shutter Island. Oh, you should have been in more. I'm sorry. You're in a Frankenheimer.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Okay. Well, what? Sorry. But yeah, you were Sinestro in Justice League and Superman the Animated Series. I see. What was it? What was it like being Sinestro, the Green Lantern villain?
To tell you the truth, I don't have really clear memories of that. When you're in the sound booth, it all goes really quick, So, I got feedback from the people that I was working with, but honestly, it's a little bit of a blur. Sorry to say.
Oh, okay, no, that's fine. Sorry, I just threw out a random one. Sorry. Sorry. What is your role what is the role that you feel is the most underrated?
Underrated? Oh, that's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that I guess throughout my career, I was, I've been very pleased to work with some great people,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess if I wanted more people to talk about one particular movie, would probably be Shutter Island, because it's Scorsese, and I got to work with Ben Kingsley, and
Oh yeah, you did.
I almost got to work with DiCaprio. I mean, we have scenes together, but our parts were shot separately, so I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with him, unfortunately.
I've heard that about it. Kate Winslet said the same thing.
Marty is a gentleman and a great artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no complaints.
So I noticed in 2007 you did Assassination of Jesse James, then American Gangster, then Shutter Island. That's a good run.
Yeah,
you have some good
I'm very, very lucky. And,
you have a lot of roles, but
Jonathan Demme, he was a real sweetheart for casting me in Silence, and I think that my career would have been very different if I hadn't gotten that job.
Oh, someone wants me to bring up that you were in the what Austin is calling Jurassic Park Dinosaur House. Cheers to you, Austin. Or I think it's called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Cheers to you, Austin.
I was? Gosh, I don't remember that. That's strange. I guess I've got Gwyneth Paltrow syndrome. I don't remember.
You have Gwyneth Paltrow? Okay.
I've been in.
Oh, yeah, she does forget.
Too long, because I know you've got a long show to do, but I appreciate you taking my call. And
no, thank you.
About the ad breaks. Have
well,
a great show, and I appreciate
wait,
you
hold
taking
on.
the time to talk to me.
Hold on. I want to make sure. Do we get... Are you still there, Ted Levine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, did you work with Barry Sonnenfeld?
Yeah, on Wild Wild West.
And what about sorry, I'm just going through this. Apologies. Oh yeah, Wild Wild. Oh, I'm sorry about that. What? I've heard that now that you're here, you're sparking a memory with me. Were you cast in War of the Worlds at one point?
Well, there was some talk. And I think Spielberg was thinking about me for the lead as opposed to the standard leading man.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Cruise wasn't available right away, but that didn't work out, unfortunately.
I mean,
nice,
to be honest, I haven't watched that movie since it was in theaters. I wasn't super into it, but I think in retrospect, it probably would have worked out better if you were in it.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Very nice of you to say.
Because I don't see any weird controversy on your Wikipedia unless you hit it very well. But
well, if there is, I hope I did. No, I tried to keep my nose clean, as they say.
Okay, well.
Yeah, and I may not be, the lead in many projects, but yeah, no complaints at all. I've worked with great people. I'm very, very grateful.
Okay, well, thank you very much for calling in. Good luck to you and your career. Good luck with any more Mr. Monk movies that you are in. And yeah,
I get to work with Pacino and Peter Dinklage on Lear Rex, which should be coming out later this year. So I've got
okay
for that one.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. You have a good night.
Welcome.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right, bye. Okay, that was interesting. Ted Levine, you don't know Hi ZK? All right. Sorry. Where were we? So anyway, Kevin Smith gave this thing about Dogma 2, and it's sort of no one knows who this is and who he's referring to, and I wanted to bring it up to the chat. But this is his quote, which I only heard people talk to. I couldn't find the exact, but it's also Dogma 2. So will Dogma 2 happen? We'll see. But he said that Lucifer will be played by someone he has worked with once and never before. A lot of people are saying Justin Long, but Justin Long was in Tusk and I think Clerks 2 and been in a few things, so I wouldn't count that. Yeah, I think if you're gonna have a Dogma 2 and you're gonna have Lucifer, my choice, who's only worked with him once, would be actually get Lyndon Florentino back. She's still alive, right? Is she? She didn't. No, she's still alive. Okay. Is she? She should. Why did I think? Whatever. All right. Linda Florentino is still alive. I don't know why I was worried about that, but I think she should be. I think she could be Lucifer. I think that would be anyway. I actually, if anyone else could come up with their Lucifer, you should say so in the chat or in the comments below. I just thought it'd be like if any, but the only rule is they have to only be in one Kevin Smith movie, and I think that's actually harder. That takes out people like Ben Affleck and Justin, all those people. So, but I think Linda Florentino, that would be a good like. Anyway, I think it would be anyway. I wanted to bring that up to everyone. What do you think would be a good? What? Why does it say? Oh, one of her sisters had married David Fincher. I didn't know that. But anyway, I thought it was like an interesting thing. Like, who can you think of? My other choice, my second choice, was the guy who played Berserker in Clerks, who I do not think came back, but I think Berserker needs to come back and say, if you like making fuck Berserker, like Berserker could come back. It's either Linda Florentino or Berserker for me. But if anyone can come up with someone, I think it's an interesting, like, how well do you know Kevin Smith's filmography? I thought Sarah Michelle Gellar, but I think He-Man and Clerks 3 would make her not count. So anyway, just curious if anyone can think of. Wait, Austin Butler was in a Kevin Smith movie? Which one was he in? That's interesting. Okay, well anyway, sorry, William Ellman, thank you for your super chat. It said Tom Cruise is infamous in the history for passing on people's personal phone numbers without asking them first. The rat bastard. Sorry that happened to you. Yeah, that's what Tom Cruise is known for. I like that. Cheers to you, William Ellman. I do not think Bruce Willis is coming back for that. No, wasn't Johnny Depp in Yoga Hosers and Tusk? Tracy Morgan I think Tracy Morgan would be a good Lucifer, actually. Okay. Anyway, if anyone has ideas, I'm like legitimately curious. Who? Anyway, I wanted to raise that question. Wow, Ted Levine. This is the Ted Levine episode. All right. So this came out that there is a secret. This is a real thing. Tom and Jerry CG movie released in China. It was previously not announced, and actually Michael Ruka. I should have come up with his name because I mean I used to. I don't know. I knew him, and he brought up that he saw on what was it on Warner's server that there were drawings for a Tom and Jerry thing. So maybe it was that, but this is just for Chinese audiences. And apparently they are trying to push it for Asian markets and stuff. It's super confusing and weird. I'd be down to see it. I like Tom and Jerry, but I hope it is just, oh, hello, Toasty Jackson. I would just like it to be, and Shiloh Grayson. I don't know, if it's just like Tom and Jerry doing like Tom and Jerry gags, I'm down. But if it's like that Tom and Jerry movie with Colin Jost, then fuck no, let's throw it in the ocean. But I'm curious about what this is. I didn't really see if I could find a trailer. I should have found a trailer, but kind of a weird thing. I just want to read it. Okay, so this became a discussion in the Discord. And I was not sure if I wanted to talk about it because of how it was revealed. Because I don't like to pass around rumors and stuff. I take some responsibility for myself. Asian countries really like Tom and Jerry. I didn't know that. I mean, Tom and Jerry rules though. I mean, it's like really a lot of solid cartoons. Unless Chuck Jones as well. Man, every time when I was a kid, I was like, I can't wait to watch the Chuck Jones Tom and Jerry's. Then you see them, you're like, these are not good. All right, sorry. But yeah, so Cornbread brought up that the creator of Megas XLR wrote a YouTube comment about what happened to a reboot of Magnus XLR. I wasn't super comfortable reporting that there's been a YouTube comment. It was on Secret Galaxy, formerly Toy Galaxy's video. But looking at it, I'm just going to say this is news from a YouTube comment. So take that what you will, but looking at the account and stuff, it very much looks like it's probably this person. If this comes out to be not true or something, I'm using that, but this is a source, but I wasn't sure, and we kind of debated, and Corporate brought it up. I actually didn't know about this, and I couldn't find any real articles about it, but it is interesting. So the creator of Magnus XLR is uh um hold on, let me just read this for you about that threw me. It says his comment was, "Thanks for the shout out. Feels good knowing we weren't completely forgotten. Fun fact: due to international sales on iTunes, Magnus what made its money back. We got greenlit for a reboot a few years ago. Then David Zaslav took over WB and shut the whole thing down again. Wait, that fact isn't fun at all." Yeah, so it sounds like there was going to be a reboot. I don't know this show super well, also, to be fair. But it's interesting there was going to be a reboot, and then Zaslav killed it. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that he left a comment and left us with that little info. Also, that it did well. I thought that was interesting. A lot of people don't know. Like we were talking about, Mission Possible 1 made like $10 million a year, makes it $10 million a year annually, and how we don't know the real financial prospects of many of these things. It's interesting that he let us know that. William Ullman says Lisa Spoonar was only in Clerks, but I believe you see photographs of her in Clerks too because she died young. Yes, she did die. I don't think she would be Lucifer, but she is a good. She was the girl that does it with the dead guy, I guess, who's there for Randall or anyway. But Dante's other girlfriend showed up in Clerks 3, which I thought was a nice. Because she never really got to be part of the View Askew. Because I was like, neither of them really got to do the View Askew thing. That kind of sucks. Everybody else gets the indie push and they didn't. But anyway, cheers to William Elm. That's a good. I'm curious who it will be, but that is like an interesting little tidbit. Anyway, if anyone has any ideas, I'm very curious who else it could possibly be. I guess her and Shannon Doherty would not be it. Anyway, cheers to you, sir. I'm trying to didn't Ethan Suplee come back? Wait, what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy and Henry Porter the Serial Killer? He's never came back, did he? Okay, that would be the best one, wouldn't it? What's his name? Damn it. Well, Henry, which I've never seen, but I know he's in it. Michael Rooker. Yeah, sorry. Whoa. Michael Rooker. Rosario Dawson would be good too. I like Rosario Dawson. Anyway, so apparently, unless he was in more than one, whatever. Sorry. There's going to be a Chuck E. Cheese animated special. It didn't say it has a streaming service. It says it is going to be a special and looking for it to air. And the animation style looked different from what's in Chuck E. Cheese. My kids love the guy when he shows up in the costume and stuff. So I think kids would be down for this if you get it on the right thing. But I just don't. I'm also like, I don't know. But I do like when adults talk about Chuck E. Cheese every time someone goes, "You mean Charles Entertainment Cheese?" Someone did in the Discord. I've heard so many. That is like every time a grown-up response that there's always someone in the group who knows what the Chuck E stands for. And I always think that's interesting. It's like not even people who know each other, just everyone, someone, if you're in a group of like 5 people, someone's going to do it. I've done it. A lot of people, but I've noticed this. Adults, when they talk about Chuck E. Cheese, always go Charles Entertainment Cheese. Like he's showing up for a job interview. I'm assuming, Toasty Jackson, your comment is about Dogma 2, but I'm going to take that as you mean Chuck E. Cheese, and you want Paul Giamatti to voice Chuck E. Cheese. I think that is going to be an awesome idea. I would love Paul Giamatti to voice Charles Entertainment Cheese. Cheers to you, Toasty Jackson. Wait, are we past? Actually, if I could, for real, this isn't like a joke thing. If my job could be making those videos they show at Chuck E. Cheese where they all dance to like Chaperone's Hot to Go and they're in a pizza place in the middle of nowhere or whatever. If that, I would love to do that job. That's in my mind. That is what That's like a cool job. It's probably not a cool job. But every time I go there, I'm like, I feel like that would be good. But then I feel like I would say things at work like, man, Morgan really killed it today. Or like high-fiving these kids and stuff. Anyway, sorry. This is like where my mind goes. Because when you're at Chuck E. Cheese, you're either running around with the kid or you're standing there eating pizza bored. So I was like, wonder what it's like behind the scenes where they're shooting these kids. I always think that. And then, I don't know, I always assume it's like a cool job. And you just watch these kids dance around and you're like, all right, we're going home. And then, I don't know. Sorry. That's like my dream job of me and like this guy's like, I've been around, man. No. We used to make these videos. I used to do trauma stuff. Now I'm doing this. Sorry. That would be my a sitcom. All right. So this is sort of the Josh Cooley section of the show. Interestingly enough, there's 2 Josh Cooley news today. Both about Paramount Animation, where he left Pixar for. I actually always wondered, like, does he have beef with Pixar or he just got a better contract? I've been curious about that for a while. The kid from iCarly is voicing Chucky. I didn't know that. I like Johnny Johnson, and that's cool. Rosario was also in the 4:30. See, this is why it's interesting, because you really can't think of anyone. It's very hard to think of someone who was in only one Kevin Smith movie. There's not a lot of those people. It's like, oh wait, what about the what's his name? The black guy from Chasing Amy. Did he ever come back? He would be cool too. I'm into Tracy Morgan, whatever that guy's name is. But yeah, Joey Lauren Adams couldn't do it. I don't know who. What about that guy, the other guy in Mallrats who wasn't Jason Lee? He hasn't come back. Maybe him. Anyway, sorry. This is like this really legitimately made me think about something. All right. Let me hold on. Okay. Let me do Nathaniel, then we'll talk about Josh Cooley news. I guess Chris Rock, I feel like he was in Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look up the Maybe I should come up with a list on the Discord who I for real think has only been in one. And we can do a vote or something. That would be cool. Nathaniel Foga. Funny thing is, I met Nathan Kress at the same con of the Duncan brothers, one of the original voices of Chucky. What a coincidence. Oh, that is a cool story, Nathaniel Foga. Cheers to you. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So, yes, you were guys right. There is not going to be a sequel to Transformers 1. He said, what I've been told is Paramount Animation is not interested in making a sequel. That's what I was told. I wish we could. I have ideas too, so it would have been cool. We'll see what happens. You never know. So, Josh Cooley, it sounds like, will not get to make a Transformers sequel. I didn't see I don't want to get my whole thing with what happened to me with Transformers 1, but I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I liked what I saw. I think that sucks because I do feel like what sort of happened with the Transformers franchise is like it got better and then the audiences bounced. Because like Bumblebee was really good. The newer one in the 90s was like it was better, and then Transformers 1 was pretty good. So it's like I felt like we were on quality wise good, but it felt like the audiences bounced and all that stuff. Transformers 1 is the Doug's first movie of the time. Okay. I've never seen Doug's first movie, but maybe at some point. All right, so apparently Paramount Animation is doing a different thing with Josh Cooley, as he is in talks to direct this book called I Eat Poop, a Dung Beetle Story, is going to be produced based on this popular book by Mark Pett, with Ryan Reynolds' maximum effort producing. I don't know if Ryan Reynolds will actually be in it. I had a prediction about Transformers and the Wild Robot. What was my prediction? I honestly don't even remember. Yeah, so Josh Cooley is adapting it and is in talks to direct. It sounds like he probably needs to direct. We'll see. But it is interesting. We heard this thing isn't going to work, and now he's got a whole new project. But I don't know. I don't really know this series. It sounds gross, but we'll see. I don't think Toasty Jackson. I don't think kids are growing out of Transformers. I think kids like Transformers. I just think the general public got sick of it because it got burned on like too many of them. Right? We probably need to hurry up, and I do want to talk about box office. There's like a lot. Sorry, kind of a packed show. I shouldn't say we'll go over because we do too much. So we got a release date. So I'm a little confused about this because I thought I had read, but I can't find proof of it. So maybe I just made that up. That Chris Stuckman's movie was going to come out in like August, and now there's reports that it's coming out from IndieWire. Let me look at this. Click on this IndieWire thing. That's going to come out on October 3rd. I'm a little. I'm not trying to like create drama or something. I'm just a little confused. But I'm like, I don't know why I thought that August thing. I swear I read that anyway. So it's coming out October 3rd this year. From Neon. I am curious when we're going to see a trailer. I'd assume, I'm not sure when the next when the next Neon thing is, or horror movie, or whenever you have it up, but I'd assume soon because it's October 3rd. But I don't know. I'm curious, but hey, I hope it goes well. We'll see what happens. Apologize for saying that there was going to be a I was confused about the. I don't know why I thought that, and I'm a little confused. I couldn't figure out why, like, what the source was on that. But anyway, it's coming out October 3rd. I do plan on reviewing it. I will not be super negative unless it stinks. So I'm trying to think of what to do next. Okay. So Will Smith has said that he turned down Inception because he didn't get it. I'm sort of sick of Will Smith telling us all the stupid things that he has turned down. Like that's like a cottage industry now, which I don't really understand. Like I don't know. I find it really weird. Apparently someone did some digging. All right, I think that's enough for the fade right now. Let's okay. A couple reporters looked into it. I had always heard like Nolan very much wanted DiCaprio, but I don't know. Like the studio might have. We don't know if like what the deal is with that. But I have heard. I heard Rap Critic talk about his song. It was not great, and I heard it. But supposedly the first person they talked to was Brad Pitt, which I think that would have been a worse movie. And he turned it down, and then they went to Will Smith, and then they went to Leo. I'm not sure, like, the logistics of this, or the studio was like, you gotta go to these people, or, like, what the deal was with that. But I don't know. But it's also, like, when I read that, I was like, why are you talking about it? Like, you just sound kind of dumb at this point. I don't know. I do think, like, I'm not a big Brad Pitt fan for, he's kind of a shit person. Just read about like, look, there's child abuse, and then there's child abuse so bad they have to land a plane and call the FBI, and it's like I'm still shocked he doesn't really get canceled for that. But I don't. Yeah, there's a reason I'll probably never do a Was Almost In, because he really makes me uncomfortable when you read some of the stuff he's done. I'm like, we're just okay with him. I really don't understand that at all. Like he seems pretty. If all your kids hate you and the FBI had to investigate your child abuse, I'm sorry, like what the fuck? Anyways, I will leave this alone. But I don't know. I don't think Will Smith. I think it's like he knows he will get a headline, but he needs to stop talking about this because I think one thing that defines him as an actor is he has to be number one on the call sheet, and if you have to be number one on the call sheet, you're not going to do interesting work. And, like, the fact that he turned down Django... I think the Django thing was, like, one of the dumbest moves he's ever made. I thought that was a real stupid move. I think... I don't know. I'm just, like... He just doesn't do interesting stuff. He always has to be Big Will be the big movie star, and that hurts him more than I think he realizes. It's just, I don't hate him or anything. It's just like when the slap thing happened, I was like, yeah, because he's not a guy who can artistically take a challenge at all. Like I think he sort of tried for a few years and then like backed away and just liked being Will Smith the celebrity, and this helps him be the celebrity. And he can be like, oh, yeah, here's an interesting thing, so you'll keep talking to me. But, like, it's like you turn down, like, I'm not a big Chris Nolan guy, but, like, you turn down Inception, like, I don't know. I mean, I think Jamie Foxx is better I think Jamie Foxx is a better actor than Will Smith. His difference between them is Jamie Foxx would be in Collateral, and Will Smith would never be in Collateral. So, you know what I mean? It's like Jamie Foxx would give himself over to the role and like really get into it, even if it's like a bad movie. He'll like, other than Annie and that Cameron Diaz action movie, although he had a stroke, so I'll give him, we'll let that one go. But anyway, all right, sorry, we have 2 super chats, then we'll move on. Will Smith is biding his time for Wild Wild West 2. It sort of feels that way in a sense. Cheers to you, Lucas Anderson. And William Ellman, sorry I went off on 2 major actors there. Jim, do you think Mike Flanagan doing another King project, being a director showrunner on the new Carrie show, is him jumping the shark a bit? I haven't seen all the Flanagan stuff, or especially the shows. I never saw Dr. Sleep, but I do feel like he's very much on this like thing. What's that Life of Chuck thing? I don't know. Anything that's like we're life affirming, I'm like, just I don't have time for this shit. But he does that seems to be his niche, but like I don't know. I do think, like, if that Exorcist movie ever comes out, he's gonna, unless he nails it, which I don't know. I think there is something there in that story, and if he doesn't do it, I think we're gonna maybe hear a little bit less from him. But anyway, cheers to you, William. Yeah, in a way, yes, I agree. Cheers to you. Sorry if I went on a bit. So in comedy movie news, we heard that the Naked Gun trailer, the newer trailer that came out, we heard a lot of talk about will parodies movies work, and I think that discussion brought up my thing with parody movies, and I know I said this on Blue Sky or whatever, is that if you watch Airplane is always funny, and it doesn't try to be like the newer movies were always like, well, we got to have like, I think one of them had a reference to that 2013 Evil Dead movie, and all they'd seen was the trailer, and they like studied the trailer, which is a bad sign. Just to be, I will get to you, Zane Paris. Sorry, is a bad sign. But if you watch Airplane, like what that movie is making fun of, by the way, I think it was the William Wellman film. Literally, that franchise, that genre started with The High and the Mighty. The High and the Mighty was unavailable for home viewing from like all of the 80s and 90s, and yet Airplane I didn't even know about, because Robert Stack came from that genre at the beginning, and why him being in it is actually funny is because he's making fun of a genre that he helped popularize. But most of you are probably like didn't know that, and most of you probably didn't know that that happened. But I just think the reason Airplane works is because those gags are solid. If you have solid gags, that's why parody movies really work. Not trying to be relevant. Like, there's a lot of Airplane that isn't relevant and is referencing things you don't get, but it's funny, so you don't even, you don't mind it. You don't care about it. It doesn't matter that you know what a Hare Krishna is. It's funny when the pilot's going through and punching people in the airplane. It's like Looney Tunes references old Hollywood movies all the time, but like kids still laugh at them because if you have solid gags, you're good. And I think that's going to be the difference. I hope the Naked Gun movie works out, because I think there's a lot of the film online, whatever it is, thing that is really pro it, and I think it would like really help the Zaz stuff and like better parody movies take off. If it is successful, we'll see. I think we'll see about that. Zane Power says, what about Will Smith's artsy masterpiece Collateral Beauty? Yeah, what about his artsy masterpiece? I'm trying to like your... Okay, there we go. Sorry. I never saw that. People bring that up. I noticed that one. I like Spies in the Skies. Spies in the Skies is underrated. I remember watching it with my daughter, and I was like, that movie really goes there in certain places, which I'm almost surprised by. Cheers to you, St. Powers. Hello, Lone Wolf 96. We watched Lego movies semi recently and was like, man, he is good at funny movies. We never give him enough credit. Sorry. Also, it's like Lonely Island, Seth MacFarlane, you know, Liam Neeson's all together. It's gonna be great. So we learned that Harold and Kumar are coming back. Isn't Airplane a parody of Zero Hour in Airport 1975? It is, but it makes references to the genre, and having Robert Stack in that is a reference to the beginning of that genre. But because High and Mighty was a huge hit in the 50s, in the 70s they remembered it, but me as a 90s kid who couldn't watch it didn't know that. What I'm saying is, like, I've never seen Zero Hour or Airplane 1975, and I think a lot of people haven't, and I think it still works regardless of that. But thank you for me. That is a good point. I was more saying that movie, The High and Mighty, started the genre, but it is directly parodying those two movies. But the fact that I think most of you who have seen Airplane probably haven't seen those movies, I think speaks to it. But anyway, but no, that is a good point, Will. Thank you for bringing that up. Cheers to you, sir. So apparently the guys who did Cobra Kai started making the Harold and Kumar movies. They're trying to bring it back. They've gotten both of Cal Penn and John Cho have agreed to come back. We do no word on Neil Patrick Harris, which I do think is semi-essential for these. I like the Harold and Kumar movies. 2 kind of isn't great, but the first one's really good, and the Christmas one is fairly solid. We end up watching that more than I think we watch it a fair amount in my house. So I think I'm excited for it. I'm down. I think it's going to be a cool movie if it all comes together, but it sounds like they're into it. And I think it's like I didn't ever like those, like, the gross out era of comedies that isn't like after There's Something About Mary, it got really shitty. Like, really good. A lot of those are real bad. But Harold and Kumar, I've always liked those. And I think it's like a fun buddy thing. A lot of people are saying, well, what does it mean? Because it's a lot more legal now than it was. And like, it did reference them being dads. And people were like, well, what if their kids smoke or something? I don't think it would be that, but I think, I hope they get Danny Trejo back because he was in the third one, and I hope Wafflebot comes back. Those are my only, and obviously they eat at White Castle. I want Wafflebot, Danny Trejo, and White Castle, and that's all we need. Wafflebot and the Christmas one was pretty good. I think underrated stoner Christmas movie. All right, what are we? There's kind of some bigger things, and all right, I think I'll just skip over the DC stuff because I don't know if do you guys care about the DC stuff? I don't know. All right, these are kind of 3 bigger things, and I thought I'd bring it up. One is this HBO executive who promises there is no anti-trans rhetoric in the Harry Potter show, which is immediately like, what? Why would you say that though? Is there gonna be though? And it like definitely like made me go, what? Like, that's not a Harry Potter thing. What? Oh, congratulations, Lone Wolf 96, by the way. It was just like one of those things where I'm like, say what now? What? What do you mean? Anyway, we also learned that, yeah, I'll talk about this. I read this on Hollywood Reporter, but that there was supposedly the Chinese film industry is really considering doing some AI reworks of huge kung fu movies. The 3 they mentioned specifically, but says there's going to be more of, were that they're going to do Fist of Fury, Drunken Master, and Once Upon a Time in China. Those being one by Bruce Lee, one by Jackie Chan, and one by that made Jet Li a star. I need to see the Jet Li. Anyway, I was like, man, I should rewatch some of these. But they are doing a digital reworking of John Woo's classic A Better Tomorrow, where the Chow Yun Fat turns into a cyberpunk, and it's the world's first full process AI produced animated feature. This depresses the fuck out of me. I'm surprised Bruce Lee's estate is cool with this. I'm not happy about this at all. It's like, I will watch the trailer But I'm like, why are you fucking with the John Woo stuff? Like, that stuff is just so solid. Anyway, I've been meaning to kind of maybe do a series on just those John, because I used to love watching those a lot, like The Killer and all that stuff. So I'd be really disappointed if it does. But oh, thank you, Lone Wolf 96. All right, wait, are we past? Jesus, we are running long. Oh, we're past 40. Oh, hello. Fun fact. Hold on. Fun fact from William Elman. William Elman, not William. Sorry, William Elman. Fun fact: Airplane 2 is a parody of Airport 1970. This film depicts a bomb threat on a 747, with the story focusing on the efforts to save the crew and passengers. Oh, okay. I have seen Airplane 2, but it's been a while. When I was a kid, I watched this a lot. I have Airplane, the first one, on Blu-ray. But man, and I watched it with my friend Kool-Aid in Ocean City, and we had a good time. I watched that a few times actually. Anyway, cheers to you, William Elman. I might do an original Naked Gun review, but I should do an Airplane one at some point. All right, we've gotten to another thing. All right, let's just do the DC stuff quick. Basically, he said, one thing that I thought was worrying is he said the Superman sequel won't be a direct sequel to Superman. It will be, which I was like, no, don't do BVS. And there's so much speculation about a World's Finest movie, which I sort of hate the DC news because there's always like people making these big leaps about shit. And like, I don't think he said there's going to be a World's Finest movie. And it seems like everyone's like, they got to do this team up. And I was just like, why? And please just do a direct Superman 2. I do not want, like, please, no. Like, don't do this. He's hinted that there's going to be a team up in a larger story, and there's something they're going to do in the other studios they don't even know. And I'm like, dude, please don't do this. Supposedly he's developing a Wonder Woman movie. We know Gal Gadot is not coming back. There's a lot of talks on Ana de Armas, but some people are saying maybe not because she's so small. She's like, well, they speak Wonder Woman. Supposedly, people feel should be taller. I don't want to get into like what Wonder Woman should physically be like because when Gal Gadot got cast, there's all this like weird, ugly shit about that, and I'm just like, I'm not here for it. If someone's good in the role, leave it alone. Like, she's a woman who has superhero powers. That's not a real thing. It's just like she can look however she like. Just be good in the role. I think Ana de Armas would be actually cool, but man, when Gal Gadot was cast, people got real weird, and it's like, let's not do that again. Rachel Zegler's Wonder Woman, I would be down for. Or who is that girl who is one of the Shazam people in? She's brown hair. I don't know her name. But and apparently the Justice people in the Superman is like the Justice Gang or whatever. I'm not saying Gal Gadot can act really. She's fine as Wonder Woman, not so much as other stuff, and in Fast and Furious movies. So I don't think that speaks to being a good actor, though. But he has said there's not going to be a Justice League movie yet, and has defended that Matt Reeves is just working on the Batman thing. The thing with the Batman stuff as well is like he is shooting it down because people have made it into a thing. But to me, it's like he sounds like he's so busy with the DC stuff. Batman's not really. So like a lot of this is like movie press people making things into things, and I was talking about that Star Wars thing last week, just like too much nonsense. And also James Gunn needs to not do so many interviews, and it's like he really overdoes it. However, a cool show idea is there's a Mr. Miracle show, and it's actually going to be show written by Tom King, who wrote the comic book arc that this show is based on. One thing I liked about the live action remakes of How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch is that the directors actually got paid, and I think that a comics creator is going to get paid as a showrunner is a good thing. So I hope that works out. That is the only DC news I was like, oh, cool, and good for him. And because most of the comics creators don't get paid. I kept reading how all of them didn't, and when they showed up to the premiere, they couldn't go to the after party, and I kept reading things about how Sebastian Stan kept letting comic creators in. So Sebastian Stan sounds like a cool dude because he keeps letting comic creators into after parties. But hey, it takes a village, I guess. All right, since we are running a bit long, let me just do the box office thing because there's something I actually do for real want to talk about, and I know I don't always talk about the box office, but I wanted to bring up something which I've noticed is a trend. But it is sort of about the box office, about another thing. One is the two highest grossing movies this weekend were How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch. So both two live action remakes are 1 and 2, which is depressing. But the other thing, and I know there's all sorts of before you get into that, Sinners is now made it, and is the longest run at number 1. Or longest run in the top 10 in 2025 at 9 weeks. It was number 10. I do not think it'll make it to 10 weeks in 10, unless Life of Chuck. Yeah, actually, it has a chance, but right now it has the number 1 slot at 9 weeks in the top 10. So congrats to Sinners. It at this time has $275 million in America. I've noticed this thing, and it's becoming sort of a weird issue. And I first heard about it with The Materialist. And this is something I actually want to talk about this a lot. It's an A24 movie. And what A24 does, and I think it's a good thing, is they push their movies out to as many theaters as possible in the opening weekend to get out there, sort of get word of mouth. And obviously, after the first weekend, it goes down and so forth. People keep bringing up the cinema scores for the A24 stuff. My view on cinema scores is that, like, fuck that shit, because it's basically like what the audience thinks of the movie. I don't really care what is popular, and that doesn't influence my opinion. I might see it because it's popular. I'm not gonna like it because it's popular. And I've noticed people are using that as a justification for, well, you shouldn't hate this movie because it has an A+ cinema score and an A- cinema score. I know a few people commented on my Lilo and Stitch video, but it was already sort of I actually had this written down before, but I noticed people were saying, like, well, what if A24 like ruins their brand because too many people, I'm just going to turn this, sorry. Too many people are expecting a crappy movie with A24. First of all, those people exist anyway. But also, like, I don't think the people who see the A24 horror were, like, going to see The Materialist. I think there are people who do that, but in the majority, that's a different demo. I do not understand why film discussion is bringing up cinema score. If you're doing a box office discussion and you say, oh, well, it got this, so I don't expect it to make that much, that is a different thing. But if you're justifying your film taste with cinema scores, you're ultimately, like, that's not even like having taste. Like, I don't understand what your goal is with that. That just really, it's really upsetting, and it's really, I actually find it really sad that people are going, like, it's almost like people are like, well, it's a number 1 song in the country, so it's good. But that doesn't mean something is good because it's number 1. That just means it's popular. Popularity and quality are not the same thing and should not be viewed that way. And people looking at A24, I actually think A24 should be in more theaters, because the whole idea, if you didn't know this, when multiplexes first came out, this is a real thing, is there was supposed to be, like, there's one screen for an art movie, and there's another screen for a blockbuster, and there's a screen, we'll have each screen, well, it'll be, so many different variety. And, like, I don't know if you've been to a multiplex, but that is not what happened ultimately. And I think we need this stuff for cinema's sake to have different kinds of movies. And if we are acting like, oh, well, the cinema scores aren't good for the A24 stuff, and, it's going to ruin the brand, eventually people will stop showing up. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, we need variety in cinema. There's not going to be all these different kind of cinema, different kind of movies, if we're just looking at, like, what gets an A+ cinema score. Lilo and Stitch is a terrible movie, but it had a great cinema score. That doesn't mean it's a better movie because of that cinema score. It just means people are, it's gonna, anyway, I might not be saying this right, but I think, like, we need A24s. Like, I don't love every A24 film, but I think they're putting these kind of films out in, theaters who don't, in places that don't have art theaters at all, is a good thing for movies in the long run. And if you're bringing up cinema scores and putting those things down, you're ultimately failing in covering the movies. You're just covering popularity. And I don't need to do that. I can look at Box Office Mojo. You're entirely useless in your role if that is how you're talking about movies. There's no real point of having that kind of discussion. And it's not a good justification for these live action remakes or any kind of movie. Even if I like the movie, saying, oh, and it got this. I actually also, I will admit, I never look at Rotten Tomatoes. And I never look at that score either. Like, these should not, other people's opinions, you might see a movie because you heard it's good and stuff like that. But if your opinion is made because of a cinema score or a Rotten Tomatoes thing, like, I do not think, I mean, I would question if you actually have taste in much of anything, if that is true. So, anyway, I was very kind of upset by hearing that quite a lot for both the live action remakes discussion and the discussions on A24 I heard from various people on YouTube and podcasts and stuff like that. And it's really kind of a distressing thing to hear people say, oh, well, it's got the cinema score, so it can't be that good kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, come on now. Like, anyway, we should be helping, like, A24 needs to exist for the film industry to thrive, because it's like, it's also like, you know, we don't have, like, I know it's not technically a romantic comedy, but we don't have romances with big stars in it anymore. We should be helping those films, not hurting those films. Like, you're ultimately failing cinema and, like, the larger viewing public by doing those sort of things. Like, it's just like, anyway, I find it very upsetting. Sorry, I'll move on, but I'm noticing it. I've noticed it before when people go, but if you're talking about box office, I will understand, but especially, like, leave A24 alone. There's, like, they made $12 million. Like, how many times did How to Train Your Dragon do that? Like, he made 84. Like, yeah, you know, big A24 is really hurting cinema there. I just, Sidaram said it very, I thank you for, this is a very good comment in the chat. Said, Hereditary got a D+. That tells me everything I need to know about cinema score. Exactly. No, Emblet, I will admit there are problems with A24. I'm just saying in the general sense, and I think in the general sense they should exist, but there should be other indie distributors who get to have those hits and get to have movie stars in their movies, and that's a larger discussion. But the idea that, like, if they take down A24, it'll take down other things getting those possibilities as well. So anyway, sorry. But yes, it is weird that we have two live action remakes, and both from Dean DeVillis and Chris Sanders, doing well in the box office this weekend. I'm curious, like, are they doing a remake of The Croods next? Or maybe they can, hey, maybe Disney can, that's how they'll remake Bolt, is make their version, since Lasseter's gone and all that. Other things, Final Destination Bloodlines continues to be the highest grossing Final Destination. What is the lowest grossing? Let's just do that. What's Ghost Trail? Regime Leaders. Man, every time the lowest grossing, I thought it'd be funny, and it's never funny. Oh, Boondock Saints made $175. That's $175 too much for Boondock Saints. It got re-released in one theater. That's one I shouldn't review, because I will not be nice to that movie. It's not good. All right. I'm going to take a break. If I missed anything, it's sort of a, well, we're doing okay, actually, because we started 10 minutes late. But, oh, I didn't know that about E24. Thank you for saying that, though. No, bring up those kind of things, because I notice, like, people say, oh, this indie thing is so great, and, like, that's actually why I don't have Canopy, because it charges the libraries too much, and I disagreed with that, so I don't. It's also not available in my area, so that that's the other reason. But I sort of don't love that they do that. Anyway, yes, okay. I'm going to take a break. Then we'll talk about Lifted and Bow, both shorts before the last two animated Brad Bird films. I'm pretty sure. Which is not why I'm talking about either of them. I'm talking about them because of Elio. But then we'll do questions, and then that'll be it. I'm going to just... All right, anyway, I'm going to use the bathroom, freshen up a little bit. Then we'll do 2 segments. I'm not going to do 2 segments a lot. It's just like... lifted was because of the alien stuff, and when Ryan Wilson brought up Bao, I was like, I mean, I should do Bao. So that after that, we're not. Maybe I won't have segments next week or coming up to balance it out. We'll see. Anyway, I will be. No, wait, that's the wrong image. Damn it. Hold on. There we go. There we go. All right, I will be right back. Right after. I'll be right back after this. Oh, good night, Dan. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. All right. Um, let's switch back. Hold on. Aha. Okay. I think we might go past 12:40. So if anyone is going to, if it's going to be late for anyone, I don't want to pressure you or anything like that. Yeah. We are close, not just there yet, to 60. So if we get there, we'll do the flashing lights again. And if you do see, I might put out, because I have Greg and AJ, which was supposed to come out with Transformers 1, because Josh Cooley did that. I want to get that done in these two Pixar shorts. So if you see a bunch of those, it's probably because I might put them all close together to get a few other things done. So if you see that, don't think I'm not necessarily lazy. It's more it just needs some time. We'll see. We'll see. And the AI, I read this thing today that AI makes you dumber, and I believe it because I don't know. It doesn't. You're not using your critical mind if you're doing that. Anyway, all right. We're gonna talk about Lifted first. Yeah, aren't those the last? They're before the last two. Yeah, before the last two Brad Bird movies. That's interesting. Coincidence. All right. Trying to think what else. Yeah. So if you want to do a super chat, this is the. I'm gonna drink some of this just to keep it going. But thank you all for your generosity as always. Okay. Now, can something with the word intelligence make you dumber? Oh, you'd be surprised. Or I guess you wouldn't be. That's good. The other servers are down, and I can't remember my name. What do I do? I get to name you then. It's not going to be complimentary if you're doing that. All right. So, first we're going to talk about Lifted, a 2006 movie that did premiere at, well, okay, it's really a 2007 movie because most people saw it in front of Ratatouille, but because we like to do this film festival thing, for some reason it premiered at the Chicago International Film Festival in 2006 before it, and so, but to me it's a 2007 movie. This is basically, Lifted, is about two aliens, and one I'm assuming is new at his job, and there's all these little dials, and he is trying to do the right thing to get the guy out of the house, but keeps bumping him into stuff and can't figure it out and stuff like that. This was nominated for Best Animated Short, and Michael Giacchino did the music, and I think it's sort of cute, but I do remember, and I was a little more interested in, or knew more animators at the time. Nobody liked this. Like, people were really not feeling this at all. I think it's fine. It's kind of cute. It really doesn't show much of a personal story. It doesn't have amazing character design, anything like that. It's just a fun little short before a thing. And I think, I mean, this was 2007. This was before Ratatouille. Pixar was really in its peak era, and it doesn't scream out peak Pixar era to me. They're switching switches, not lever. Okay, sorry. But the switches or flips or whatever it is, I think is it's a funny idea to an extent, and like it's kind of a cute bit, but it like kind of goes on too long, and like, you know, seeing the, it's sort of like when you're new at the job and you're working with someone who's really experienced and they're watching you fumble. It's to sort of learn it, and then eventually they do it, and you feel kind of dumb, which I think that about this works. And, you know, before Ratatouille is notable and getting an Oscar nomination, but you know what the real thing is, and I'm surprised I haven't seen anyone bring this up in the chat. This is directed by Gary Rydstrom. And Gary Rydstrom, who is a visual effects guy and has been nominated for 20 Academy Awards for his work in sound and has won 7 times as a sound designer and stuff like that. But his other big thing, also he's the English language director for Tales from the Earth Sea, Arrietty, From Up on Poppy Hill, and The Wind Rises. However, his other notable directing credit is Strange Magic. That is, I think his other directing credit is that he worked on he directed, because he was, I'm curious, I think he was a he was a Lucasfilm guy, and I'm guessing because Lucasfilm used to be a or Pixar used to be part of Lucasfilm, he's maybe a holdover from that. He also did direct the Toy Story short Hawaii Vacation, but I think the most notable thing is obviously Strange Magic. the the George Lucas thing. I'm not. I mean, this is better than Strange Magic. I'll say that. And Hawaii Vacation is actually kind of fun. So I might actually say, if I know Gary Rydstrom really wants me to rank the three things I've seen of his directed. Although he's done some Philharmonic Fantastique or whatever. But of the three animated things he's done that I've seen, I would say Toy Story, Hawaii Vacation is the best. Lifted is in the middle, and Strange Magic is obviously at the bottom. I don't know. I don't think this is a real classic. I think it's like kind of a fine little short. If you're watching a bunch of shorts, it's probably the one you forget about. It was fine at the time. I think it is a weird choice. Both of these are weird choices, but the shorts I'm talking about tonight. But this is a weird choice to play before Ratatouille. It really has nothing to do with it. It's a fun alien thing, and I'm really reviewing it because of Leo is coming out, and there's an alien thing. That's an alien thing, and I thought I talked about the previous Pixar alien thing, but I don't think it's like a great. It's just sort of a fun little riff. It would probably work better as a commercial. It's honestly too long at the length it is. I don't mean to be a jerk or anything, but it really doesn't have much to do with it. But anyway, I don't think he's a particularly amazing director. I thought his two Pixar shorts are much better directed than Strange Magic. I'm curious if that has more to do with the people producing the Pixar movies versus the guy producing Strange Magic. But anyway, it's a fun, nifty little short, but I don't think there's very much in there other than that. Unfortunately, hey, Pixar can't make enough. Not every short can be classic, and I don't know if this is necessarily a great one, but it's a fun little riff, and probably should have been a little bit shorter. Probably should have lifted out of there. Oh, all right. Let's talk about now. There's really not much to talk about lifted. Sorry. I hope I'm not. That's true. True. You know what? For a long time, I see on the Discord, there is a Jim movie crap bingo, and I need to print it out and try to hit everything on the sheet in one show. That's like, I want to do that this year. Anyway, the guy the alien tries to abduct kind of looks like Linguini. I can sort of see it. All right, so Bao is a different story in that I think it majorly launched the director Dome Shi, who ended up directing Turning Red, and it played before Incredibles 2, and that was a huge hit. I think most people saw this, and most people remembered it. People were talking about Bao after they saw Incredibles 2, which is one of what? Oh, we need to update it. Good. Okay, you update it. Maybe I'll do it. But yeah, most people were talking about it. This is the last time this won the Oscar for Best Animated Shorts. It's the last time a Pixar, or I believe Disney short, won Best Animated Short. And this came out in 2018, which is pretty crazy. If you haven't seen the short, it is basically about a older Chinese Canadian woman, because this director loves doing Chinese Canadian stories, who is making a steam bun that then comes to life when she tries to eat it. She raises the steam bun up when her husband goes to work. You see the steam bun grow up and do all this stuff, and then be really attached to her and do things with her, but then want to have friends, and then eventually, I am curious if this whole story takes place in one day. I don't think it does, but I thought that would have been funny, especially like by the end, like he's like as a wife and all. I was like, wow, that went by quick. But it does feel that way with kids in this. The one part in this, and I'm assuming you've all seen it, that I will always remember, and I will, yeah, the dumpling kid or the steam bun kid, uh, looks, the design's really good. I like the way he looks and all that, but I will say, like, I saw this in a theater, and when she eats the kid, the whole audience like freaked out. Everyone was like, "Whoa!" Like it was in a moment. I was like, I still remember, like the whole audience gasped. It like it had everybody. It was crazy. It was like I think that's probably why this stays with you, because it's such a crazy moment. Um, and when you eventually find out, it's more sort of like based on her son and things like that. Like that the dad is like sort of like, yeah, can you guys just talk and close the door? Clearly, just goes to watch TV. Love it. Um, this is, I think, speaks to her as a director and very much ties into Turning Red, because Turning Red was obviously a very personal story, and this is a very personal story and has a lot to do with mothers and children, things like that. I always liked this short. I think I was like a year into being a father at that point when this came out. I don't remember it like bothering me as much or affecting me as much with that. A little bit, obviously, but now that I have two kids and I've been a dad for like 8 years and stuff, I I feel differently, maybe a little bit about this, where I do feel like there's this thing with parenting and all that, where you kind of want them to be you want to hang out with them as much. You feel sort of deprived if you don't get to hang out with your kid that day. I always feel a little sad and stuff, and you kind of want to, stay up longer with them, which you can't really do, or do stuff with them because you miss them. But I maybe because I'm older, I look at that more as, if the phrase, if you love something, you need to set it free. You don't really want to hold people back because it makes you necessarily uncomfortable or you're afraid about being alone. You kind of have to let people do what they do. And I think that's a hard thing sometimes, especially like you're having a hard day and you just want a hug from someone, or you know, right now I love watching Scooby Doo with my son, and we'll like snuggle or like watch. I fell asleep next to him when we watched Hanna-Barbera cartoons and stuff. And I know one day that's not a cool, that won't be cool for him and stuff like that. And that'll be sad. But I think at a certain, and I have not faced those things yet, so I don't know if this is presumptive of me, but I do think you do need to eventually let things go and let things grow and respect someone's choices and things like that. But obviously when you say that, people go, well, they're to a point, but I don't want to emphasize that unless it's like, obviously dangerous or something like that. But I always looked at this as a very, very good short. It might be Pixar's last really great short, especially because they don't put them out in front of movies anymore. But this really made an impact. I do really like this director. This was the first Pixar short to be directed by a female director. And it was really her first big thing that sort of launched her into becoming the big animation director she is today. I guess it is, in a sense, weird, but I think it's very easy to understand what they're talking about, what they're doing. I just think like the whole metaphor of it when she like eats him is like makes you go, whoa. Like, it really does surprise you and shock you and stuff. And I do think, like, apparently Pete Docter, who helped produce this while they were developing it, very much was like, no, keep it in, do the honest thing. This is like why I think this group is so honest. This group of directors at Pixar are so honest to themselves, because they have someone who believes in them and their artistic voice. And they're not just trying to make Pixar stuff, they're trying to make good movies. And I do think this is a really great short and one of the great shorts of the 2010s. But I do quite like this. I think it, as you get older, it hits you differently. It hits you hard. but it's such a wonderful little short. And I think she did such a wonderful job with it. And I totally understand why it won Best Animated Short. It really was like one of the things you were talking about, mostly because Incredibles 2 sucks. But, and this was really good. I would say Bao, hot take maybe, better than Incredibles 2. But it also shows, I think, something that is different is this shows a unique, interesting voice that we hadn't seen before. This is not something we saw from Pixar before. Pixar does these short, little, cute, very Disney-fied kind of things, almost in the sense like the For the Birds or Lifted or something like that. I'm not saying that's bad. They're good at that. But in this, it's like you can... It felt... When I first saw it, it felt like unusual. It felt different. It felt like something you wanted to talk about. But it felt like an experience that hit you, you know? And I think something about Bao and her direction is like, you know, I didn't grow up with in her specific situation, but I understood. I got like what she was doing with her mom in Turning Red, and I got what she's doing here in Bao, and it hits you. It hits you very emotionally. And I think one thing about any studio is you need to understand when to innovate and when to accept new voices and when to change. And she is very much the part of this new crop of directors and is so good at, you know, saying something very universal and being so specific. And I really do feel like this film does that and surprise you and makes you talk and can grab the entire audience. And there's very few shorts that, like, you know, if you Lifted, I think you might remember. Bao, everyone remembers, and everyone remembers it because it made a hell of a statement, and also you watch a mom eat her child and stuff. But I very much like the short. It was very wonderful, and I'm really happy that Dummy Shi, I believe that's how you say her name, went on to become the director she has. It's wonderful to see Pixar taking on new directors like this who have original visions, and Bao is 100% a very original animated short. Okay. Let me get my... Don't make that noise. Alright, sorry. I want to make sure I have all my questions. Let's write. Yeah, I don't think Elio has a short before it. Right? I don't think it... That sucks. Like, I actually think... This is not going to the thing. This is... I actually think... Because everyone's complaining about all the, you know, trailer time and all that stuff before movies. Let's cut down on some of the trailers and the ads and put an animated short right before the movie that's like, you know, just a one-reeler, like 7 minutes at most. I think people would be into it. But I don't think the Doug short was in front of Elemental. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But hey, Medilla Butterfly with the $1 super chat. Hey, thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me... Cheers to you, sir. Thank you. All right, let me write questions below. All right, I'm gonna do the. Let's do Sinram first. Sinram asks, I was curious if you've seen either of the zombie comedies Little Monsters with Lupita Nyong'o or Zombies, also known as Wasting Away. I have not. I like Lupita Nyong'o a lot, actually. So I wanted to see Little Monsters, and there's a good chance I will because she's someone who I will see. I'll honestly see anything she's in. So I think I'm most likely to see Little. I don't know anything about it other than she's in it, but that's enough for me. Nathaniel Fogo, what's a live action? I'm assuming you mean remake. Nathaniel Fogo, correct me if I'm wrong. Your surprise hasn't happened yet. That's a good question. I'm assuming you mean that. Clarify, Nathaniel Fogo, in the chat if you're still here. A live action remake, I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. Disney wise, I'm not sure if there's anything left. I'm a little surprised they haven't did well, they haven't done like what, Lady in the Tramp. Well, they did that. That was on Disney Plus. Did they do like? I don't know. Is it, in general, animation wise, I would say I am surprised. Like the '80s stuff really hasn't done that, like He-Man and stuff. Um, sorry. Um, can't think of any others. Disney wise, I'm not sure what would be left. I am surprised they haven't done anything with Black Cauldron. If I was running Disney, that would be my fantasy show because those books, there's like a lot of books. I think Black Cauldron's like in the middle of the series or something. That's actually the one I was surprised because I'm like, you own the rights to that. Like, like you could honestly do something with the Black Cauldron series. I forget what the series is called, but that would, I've always thought that. Remy Shrine said, hold on, what did you say? Bro, I ate an entire pizza. I'm gonna die. Vero? They sound like Tim the Toolman Taylor. Well, thank you for the super chat, Remy Shrine. I don't understand what that was, but cheers to you anyway. Okay, and Austin. Sorry, Austin. Hey, Jim. Hope you're well. And this was a great show. Need a bit more Mamma Mia 3 news. Oops, sorry. I digress. My question, have you ever been to a kid's birthday party at the movies? Do you remember what movie you saw? I think I went with friends for a birthday to see Mom and Dad Save the World, which I do not remember at all. I remember I went to another party to see Star Trek Generations, which we talked through, and his mom got mad at us because we had all seen it and they wouldn't let us see Street Fighter, which I like. I don't understand why we couldn't see Street Fighter. Should have let us see Street Fighter. It's really her fault for not letting us see Street Fighter. We were also being little shits, but I guess those are the only two I can think of. I mean, I went to Twisters for my birthday and 40X with my wife, but that's not really the same thing. So I would say those two. Star Trek Generations and Mom and Dad Save the World. Mom and Dad Save the World was for myself. I don't remember if that was good at all. And then I remember, and I feel like there was another one, and I can't remember. No, it was Mom and Dad Save the World wasn't mine. I took everyone to, that was a different party. I took everyone to Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, which was also not good. Anyway, Cornbread asks, question, follow-up from last week's. The Predator anime movie released 2 weeks ago to a very little buzz from what I saw. Do you still think releasing 2 Predators in the same year could have worked? I actually shot a review of it. I've seen it. I think it can work, but I think that was more for the fans. But I also think, like, summer is a hard time, and I would have put that out in September, October. I wouldn't have put it out now. I think there's, like, too much going on pop culture-wise. But it was cool, and I've generally heard good things about it from other people, too. So it seems like people are digging it. But, I don't know. It could also help, like, when that new one comes out. But we'll see. I hope it does well, because I like what Dan Trachtenberg's doing with the Predator stuff. Zane Powers, have you ever felt frustrated by a creator who constantly tries to make new types of stories yet always relies on the same kind of tricks or conventions they always use? I'm not exactly sure who I would specify with that. Who always kind of tries to make news, but then sort of. I can't think of somebody right now off the top of my head who would be specifically that. I think feels like it's probably J.J. Abrams, let's say, because he does do the same mistakes over and over again. Zane Powers, how do you feel? I hope that was a good answer. I apologize if it wasn't. How do you feel on average on mega nihilistic stories that paint all of humanity as awful and deserve death? I don't know. I do feel like this week I felt sometimes I wouldn't blue sky something or skeet something or tweet because there's so much terrible news going on and you feel really silly. I do think people need like the break and want the other thing, and there's like a use for that, but it does feel sometimes a little stupid when you're doing it. It's just like, you're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to war with Iran, but, didn't you hear about the Toy Story 5 details? Like, you feel a little silly, but I think there's all a place for everyone's different voice, but you can't not feel nihilistic in a certain point. Favorite joke, Nathaniel Foga, favorite joke from Rocky and Bullwinkle. I cannot think of one off the top of my head, but I remember one time Ian did this presentation, and he was like, why Rocky and Bullwinkle was successful? And everyone's like, the jokes, and like all these things. And then Ian went, "That's right, Mexican animators. Always make sure you have a great animation team." I was like, Jesus. He went on this like rant, like you gotta have a good animation team, and like the class didn't know what hit him. It was very funny, but yeah, apparently they used Mexican. That's how I found that out, and I was just like laughing. Or I think he told me later. He might have told me later, but still, it was funny. I still laughed when he told me. I don't know. Sorry, I might have messed that story up. Black Sea Oxymical, how do you feel about the rise of anthropomorphic mushrooms in media? I have several cute mushroom plushies. I'm cool. If I have no problem with that. Pup, in the Lilo and Stitch video, you mentioned working for a radio show. I was just curious what that was like. If you have any neat, sorry, YouTube is failing me. Okay, sorry. In the Lilo and Stitch video, you mentioned working for a radio show. I was just curious what that was like. If you have any neat stories about it. Also unrelated, but abolish ice. Very related to anything. No, I had a radio show on the station WSVA, and to keep it very short, I started basically my freshman year. I had a show for the first 2 years, and then I started working there towards the end of my second year, and then they made me station manager. I was station manager the last 2 years and like ran the whole thing, and I'd sometimes do shows after that. But when I did have a show before that, I had a segment in the beginning where I would do the original song and then a cover of it. And so that, yeah, I don't think I have, I think I might have a recording. I think I have my last show. I did a last radio show when I was a senior. I might have that somewhere, but I don't think I can play it because, well, the songs and copyright stuff. But yeah, I was a stage manager. I helped do shows. I met my wife there. Fell in love there with her and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it was a big part of my life. I should probably make a video about WSVA. It's where I met Zodberg, all sorts of cool stuff at the radio. Zodberg can probably talk about it. You should, if he wants to, in the chat, in the Discord or in the chat, he should. Question, Medela Butterfly. So when is the Shrek live action movie? There's a lot of talk that the Shrek 5 is going to have them in the real world, and they're going to do some stuff, but we'll see. So I don't know. I'm sure it'll probably happen. Embla T, I don't believe that cinema is bad now, but kids' movie cinema is doomed. What do we do? When are we cooked? Why were we cooked when people didn't see Ochi? I think Legend of Ochi, it is hard to launch an original movie. It's very hard to market those, especially without like a huge star. I think people come around to that, but I do think Sinners sucked up more cultural air than anyone was prepared for. So I think like that probably should not have come out then, but I'm hoping it does. I have not seen it. If it's good for my kids to see, I will see it. But I think in some cases it is, but you kind of gotta let kids like what they like, and they'll come around to what they're going to come around to. You can't fight it too much. But yeah, I wish people had better taste in general. Austin, I'm going to bed. Good night, and thank the guy from Monk, Ted Levine. Thank you, Ted Levine. Not plausible. What's a lesser known positive of NYC? What's a lesser known negative? A positive. A lesser known negative would just be I do not like riding on the subway going to work, and I have to duck around a tourist with a bag that's more expensive than I am, and I'm sitting there like, why are you taking the subway to the airport when you have all this expensive shit? Like, take a car. I don't know. What are you doing? Lesser known positive, I would say like, pizza. I guess it's not dollar pizza. Walking around. I don't think people, you don't get like, I do have to walk a lot for work and stuff, but I generally enjoy walking around. And I really love, even walking through Times Square, because it reminds me of when I visited the city so long ago and stuff like that. Like, I love, like, the reason those videos when I go see movies is I do enjoy just walking around listening to music. It is, like, something I've always done, and I don't have as many chances to do that, but, like, walk around New York City, listen to music, or, like, when I watch Into the Spider-Verse, sorry I'm going long on this, but I was, like, I was listening to the Spider-Verse soundtrack a lot walking around New York, and I saw people posting, like, it's a great soundtrack to walk around to. I'm like, yeah, that is, like, one of the all-time NYC walk around things. I've listened to so many albums. Ready to Die is another great walk around NYC album. Trying to think. The Drought 3 by Lil Wayne, his mixtape era, I would say, I know everyone's shitting on the new album, but that mixtape is a great walking around New York album. Or mixtape, at least. Black Saxon, how do you feel about a remake of 100 Dalmatians, but all the dogs are adults in costumes like Cats the movie? I'm okay with that. I hope they do that. The sodium is... Drink some water, Remake Character Train. All right, let's finish these and then we should end this because I need to do some dishes and sleep, possibly. Zane Powers, how do you compare Stan Lee to Bill Kane, both big comic creators who take the lion's share of credit for a series they may not have been all that involved in? Well, Stan Lee did write some stuff. I think the general perception that I've always heard versus the two is Bill Kane would take credit and really wasn't promoting comics. He was just promoting himself. Stan Lee did lecture tours when no other comics creators could go on talk shows and had the name to, he would. He was very much a salesman of both Marvel Comics and comics in general when comics needed that. And so he got to do all these cameos and stuff. I think he was sort of Mr. Comics, but it was like towards the end of his life. I think it was Jonathan Ross who was like, just come on, dude, just like give Kirby his credit, give Ditko, and he like wouldn't do it. And I think that was like kind of one of the bigger shames of him of all time, is like someone was like, come on, it's almost over, just admit it, like just please stop this. And I also think what he did, like Bill Kane, what he did to Bill Finger is fucked up and is a terrible thing, but I also think what Stan Lee did, Image Comics would not have happened if Stan Lee didn't treat Jack Kirby like fucking shit, and it changed so much creatively about credit between artists and writers, and it fucked up so many things. I do think as much as he promoted comics, as much as he helped comics, doing that had such a massive impact on people. It changed so many things, and there's so many things, like even that, like what he did to Jack Kirby was in the 60s, and it still was happening, like had impacts in the 90s. I think he did more negative than I think in more Image Comics I'm fine wasn't negative, but I think his negative had a bigger impact on the industry as a whole than maybe he really realized, even if he did do a lot of good. So I would say Bill Kane probably sucked more, but Stan Lee's negative probably impacted more. Embla T, who would you cast in the live-action Incredibles remake, and who would you cast in the live-action Shrek remake? Incredibles, I don't know who you would get to do. Oh, probably, you know who would be a good Mr. Incredible is the guy who was in This Is Us and the Sonnenberg movie. What was it? Here, I'll look him. Hold on. This Is Us, and he was in. He was also. Yeah, he was in. Okay, Chris Sullivan. If you get Chris Sullivan to be Mr. Incredible, you can do it. And I don't know who you would get to be Mrs. Incredible, but I think he's the only actor who could actually do that. But I think it's a shitty idea. Who would you cast in live-action Shrek? Bobby Moynihan as Shrek. But don't do it. What cons are you going to this summer? Vintio Samurai. I can't really go to comics with two kids presently. If someone invited me and was going to pay for everything, more than happy to do that again. But we'll see. Cornbread, what happens if you take the Rocky and Bullwinkle live-action film from 2000 Potion? I don't know what everyone's was. I've seen it once. I didn't like it. It wasn't like the show. I think the show is more haphazard and weird and stuff. And they doing a big budget thing the way they did, I think they kind of fucked up. Question: does Hatsune Miku have a better handshake than George Bush? Probably. I actually had a weak handshake from Martin O'Malley, and my brother would joke that like Hank Hill and I are like have similar thing. But when you get a weak handshake, you're like, especially from a person of influence, you're like, the fuck? Anyway, Black Saxon, when's the last time you ever finished a movie or TV show or whatever and thought, man, I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life? For me, it was Paul Mark Cup. Fury Road was definitely that. Scavenger's Reign, Smiling Friends, stuff like that. I can't think of all of them, but there are When the TV Glows, I think. Did I say that right? Jesus, we're coming towards the end here. All right. Okay, how would you do a live action Nightmare Before Christmas connected? No, nope, nope. I don't want Nightmare Before Christmas, and I don't like the Halloween Town movies. They're like okay, but like I show my kids like real horror movies. That's like that kind of nonsense. It's like I'm not for that. I was never a Halloween Town person. I'm sorry, and I do not want that. I don't even want to say that question. Sorry, I appreciate it though. St. Powers, the AI servers have gone out, and I can't remember your name. What's my name? Your name is Poopy Powers. That's a good one. Uh, Sabrina Carpenter discourse just as important as nuclear war with Iran. Okay. What is funnier, a barking cat or a meowing dog or a chirping fish? Chirping fish. Last question. Not plausible. Best dinosaur. I'm gonna go Ankylosaurus because you don't think it could fuck you up, but I think it would. Okay. Cornbread says, does a creator making other projects make up for revivals? Example for last week, Rebecca Sugar is working on 3 other announced projects on top of Steven Universe. I mean, I hope those work. I didn't hear as much about them, which also sucks because it kind of goes into the whole thing. St. Powers, isn't it bullshit? Sorry, isn't it bullshit that Land Before Time uses incorrect baby names for their dinosaurs instead of the scientifically correct names? Yes, it does, I guess. Better question, worst dinosaur? Oh, probably a long neck. I mean, it's like, why do you need that neck for? Why don't you just climb up there? Embolity, I've been detoxing from social media in a long time because of my guilt by ending my friendship to someone, and funny that my iPhone was stolen recently. You think my brain rot can heal now? I hope it does. Sorry about your phone, man. That sucks. Question. Yeah, Sitters, aka for Dustin Long classier. I don't know if it's that much classier, but I semi agree. Cornbread, trying to clarify to make sure I understand. Are you suggesting it wouldn't be better? It would have been better for the animated Predator to push it closer to the Badlands release date. I think it would actually. I think it would probably help it a little because the interest would be there. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Okay, where's the next question? Have you ever heard of a movie Nothing Lasts Forever 1984? It features an early 80s David Letterman on screen. I've never heard of that. That's interesting. Okay, I'll look that up. Okay, bye show. I think that's it. I heard Spinal Tap is coming out. Good for sign. All right, I think we're done. If I missed your question, do the Ask Jim Discord or put it in the comments below. Or if you want to ask a question in the... yeah, do it there. I think I got everyone. Apologies if I didn't. I do try, you know. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I want to thank everyone who was generous in the with the super chats. Let's give a thank you to Bloxioxo Winkle, Daniel Vasquez, Austin, William Elman. Sorry, not you guys. William Elman, Toasty Jackson, Nathaniel Foga, Lucas Anderson, William Elman, Zane Powers, William Elman, Modelo Butterfly, and Ramiku Hiraku Shrine. Cheers to all of you. Thank you very much for your support. I have no clue something will come out tomorrow. Let's hope. I would like to. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching this stuff. Thank you all for all your nice words and being a cool community. And tonight, thank you to Ted Levine. I'm sorry about the master. I hope that works out for you. But anyway, have a good night. Thank you. Comes from the Circle Chronicles Pyridian. Exactly. I've convinced a lot of people that should have been their Game of Thrones ripoff show. I don't know why they never did it. Probably because they don't really like Black Cauldron. Anyway, everyone, take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Have a good summer weekend. I'll see you all next week. I'm probably on a Thursday, most likely. But anyway, y'all have a good night. Thank you for being here. Subscribe if you would like to and all that fun stuff. And I will see you all next time. All right, good night and see you later.